right. So I'm having the great pleasure of sitting here with Mubeen Bassa, AKA Dubs. We all call him Dubs because it's just really cool and easy to say. And he's the Super League South Africa, and you're the kingpin. I'm going to call you, but that's what. And we're going to dive into. You just had SL4 in South Africa. How cool is that, buddy?
It was really cool. Nice, cozy event. We had what was amazing, Tom, was actually we had a really nice spectator turnout, because what's been happening in South Africa. Sorry, give me a second. What's been happening in South Africa is we've been generating a bit of buzz, and unfortunately, we're not as shall we say internet savvy, if I may use that term. Maybe South Africans will tell me, no, we are internet savvy. But if compared to North America, US and Canada, you guys kind of like live on your phones, your smartphones, and here we still sort of have a large contingent of our population that they have cell phones, but maybe not smartphones, right? It's our cell phone penetration is great. In fact, actually, it's about 2 cell phones per person in this country. But our data is actually what the issue is. So we have really expensive data. So obviously getting the message out, our platform is basically social media, obviously, in the Super League world, because we're virtual and so on. So that has been a bit challenging. But we managed to get to a point where we had enough people saying, what is the Super League thing? So that showed in terms of the spectators that actually came through. And enjoyed the event, got really involved, cheered a hell of a lot. Like it was actually so much fun to actually host it the first time here in South Africa.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it just looked stellar. Your atmosphere, the way it was set up, like you said, saw lots of fans, lots of people pitching in, lots of yelling and screaming and cheering, and it was really cool to watch. Because I've been to them before, but it was awesome.
You know what is the most beautiful thing about it, Tom, was actually we had obviously friends and girlfriends and stuff coming, also boyfriends coming to support, but in all honesty, we actually had such a family vibe at Super League 4. There were sort of kids coming along, they were in the gym. Obviously we had to kind of watch them, make sure they were being safe,
Yeah.
But in all honesty, it was very much a family event. And for the first time, I'm involved in South Africa in terms of bodybuilding and so on as well. I used to write a blog, or I do write a blog, and do a lot of sort of thought leading in the bodybuilding space in South Africa. And at our shows and my shows that I organize, I'm also a show promoter out here. You really get families coming to actually watch their family members compete, because it's not for everyone kind of a thing, But Super League was definitely for everyone, from kids to aunts and uncles and moms and dads coming to watch their kids compete. It was lovely, actually.
How cool is that? So where exactly are you located in South Africa, Dubs?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know South Africa, firstly, Google Map us. We are not the continent of South Africa. We're a country right at the tip. Let me break it down like this. I got to do it, Tom.
Yeah.
But at the bottom of South Africa, it lies South Africa. We're the last country right at the bottom, right? And I'm in a place called Johannesburg, Josie. We love to affectionately known as Josie.
Yep.
And we basically the city of gold. We were established on mining in this part of the country. So no beautiful rivers and stuff like that. We were just basically built on hard cash.
Yeah.
It's I'm in Johannesburg, and then you obviously have our other huge metros in the country, or our large metros, which is the Durban, Port of Natal, which is the first port in South Africa, giving you guys holiday destinations, beautiful weather. It's the Miami of South Africa, literally.
Nice.
Like
okay.
palm trees, weather is like awesome year round, all of that kind of stuff, tropical, and then you got Cape Town, South Africa, which is a lot of foreigners know Cape Town, South Africa, because it's obviously on the 50 places to see before you die. It has Table Mountain, Madiba, Mandela was incarcerated on Robben Island out there. So yeah, that's sort of on the opposite, the west coast of our country. But I'm sort of in the financial hub, you can call it, of Johannesburg in South Africa.
Nice. And so what would your population be there in Josie?
In the city itself is about 4 to 5 million.
Holy shit.
So, and then obviously for our province, which is actually, it's one of the smallest provinces in South Africa, but it's the, like I said, the financial hub. We're probably around maybe about 17 million or so. So we really are not big compared to sort of like the Western Cape, where Cape Town is, there you drive through like, it's like Vegas desert,
Yeah.
the Karoo, we call it the Karoo. And there's a lot of farming and things going on down there. And then, but in any case, Durban as well is also around about 3 to 4 million people, and so is Cape Town. We're actually very evenly pitched. It's just that Johannesburg has a lot of the corporates located up here. So,
Gotcha. That's bigger than all of Canada, and we have this big vast area. So when you say
no, never, you guys.
Wow. That's awesome. So give me a little bit of your background. Like you said, you were into bodybuilding, Dubs, and you promote a lot of the shows and you hold them and that kind of stuff. And I'm really curious to how this attracted you to Super League, but just give us a little bit of a start how you got into all this here.
Well, do you want my life story, or do you want just
I definitely want your life story. So if that's where it starts, I'd love to know if this was a passion at a young age and what kind of drove you to that. Yeah, for sure. Let's take us there.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you like the really cut down version, because we don't have a whole year to do a podcast.
Well, yeah, and you're a whole 29 years old. It would probably take a while.
Well, I know. I'm actually Tom. I'm turning 35 this year, so thanks for making me feel old. So yeah, I'm 35.
There you go.
35. Basically, look, I wanted to be a bodybuilder since I was age 13. Right? I discovered Arnold. I discovered a Flex magazine, and I started lifting weights at that age. So, well, I wouldn't call it weights actually. My dad used to have an export-import company, and I would sort of handle the phones when he was out of office. And I got bored at the warehouse, and I made weights out of paint cans, bottles, water, broomsticks. That is literally how I started my lifting career. Because like my Indian parents, they were like, you must be an accountant or like whatever. It wasn't like when lift weights or be a sportsman. And I was very sporting actually when I was younger. Literally in the warehouse, my dad would like go out, and I'd go to my gym section, and I'd do weights with my water-based, shall we call it, weight system. And then obviously I eventually convinced my parents to sign me up to a gym, and that's when I had my first encounter with like a bodybuilder / bouncer. Nice. Which was this big Afrikaans guy. For us it was post-apartheid. It was about a few years, maybe about 6 years post-apartheid. So we hadn't even, even culturally, I hadn't even really come into contact with sort of, when I say come into contact, I mean actually had a relationship with white people, right? Yeah. You have to understand what our country was at that time. Like, just after apartheid, it was like we still had Group Areas Act, and, Indian people stayed in a certain area, black people stayed in a certain area. And you may have come in contact when you were in the CBD, but you never spoke and, had a relationship with anyone. So this guy, Johan was his name, I think, if I remember correctly, Johan and Mike, and they were gymming, and I was sort of just doing the circuit, like going crazy, like over and over doing the circuit, right? Yeah. And they were like, listen, what do you want to do? Do you want to, what are you here to achieve? So I said, no, I want to be big like you guys. And they were like, okay, come and now wing. So at 13 years old, I kind of got picked up for training and stuff, not really nutritional side of things. And then obviously I went through school. I played rugby. If I don't know if you guys know what rugby is, right?
Oh yeah, we have it here too. Absolutely. I played it too. So you bet.
It's the real man's football.
Yes, it is.
And then cricket. I was a sprinter in athletics. I was a swimmer. I did a lot of stuff. So post school, but obviously I did weightlifting through all of this, and I wanted to be a bodybuilder. My plan was actually, I used to act as well. Nice. Right? Amateur acting, and I was an acting bursary at university. And my plan was actually, I was going to be like Arnold, come to Hollywood, and instead of working as a waiter, I was going to be smarter. I was going to be like a PT, because I loved that, right? And I could control my time, and I could go for auditions and so on, right? So I would either be a pro bodybuilder or I'd be an actor, either or. I'd love both, right?
Yeah.
So about 2 years after school, I was prepping for my first competition, 20 years old, and I had a motor vehicle accident. I got T-boned by like an 18-wheeler truck.
Oh, damn.
And I broke C2. I broke the second vertebra here from the top.
Holy shit.
So I spent about 32 days in cranial traction in hospital. I lost 20 kilos of muscle. I had to learn to walk again properly. I had no balance left. It was a pretty hard ass road. So all my
Dub,
plans and dreams to actually get on the stage and pursue that career that changed like sort of in a blink of an eye.
wow. Did you say 20 kilograms, over 40 pounds?
Yeah. I lost that in 30 because remember, all you're doing is laying in a bed the entire day, Tom. Like
Damn.
you cannot move, right? And in fact, like I was naughty, eh? Like the nurses would be like, "You're gonna," because firstly they were like, "It's a miracle you're alive because you broke the second vertebrae from your brain, which is like sort of, it's really high up. It's the one that allows you to turn. It's called the axis. It
Yeah.
allows you to turn left and right, and if you sever that, you either end up sort of like paraplegic, breathing through a pipe, right,
Holy
or you
shit.
dead. So I was extremely lucky that I had minimal movement. I had temporary paralysis, which I recovered from like very fast, sort of like maybe within 24 hours, right? But there was a risk that my fracture would become unstable again and actually, damage my spinal cord. And at that point, because it's so high up, it would affect everything, all the way down to my feet, basically, including my internal organs, because all the involuntary muscles are sort of housed in terms of nerve structure. It's
Right.
housed underneath, right?
Yeah.
So, it was quite a close one. And you are literally, going from 6 to 8 meals a day. I think I had a really fast metabolism at that age. I could eat anything and I'd have like abs for days. So it didn't matter, right?
Jeez.
And to go from that to basically now eating sort of 3 meals of hospital food, laying in a bed, burning 0 calories,
Yeah.
counting the patterns on the ceiling because you're like so bored. So, yeah, that was, yeah. So yeah. Sorry, that's up to that point.
And
So
and how
yes,
how old
definitely.
were you again there, Dub? Sorry,
I
you
was
were
20. I was 20 years old. That is, so now this year it'll be 15 years ago. Yeah,
yeah, so 20 years old this happens.
yeah,
Okay, carry on. Holy shit.
yeah. So I still have some lasting issues from that. I have like nerve damage down my arms, my back. In fact, today at gym, it's so funny actually that we're having this interview, and we're talking about struggles. But like today at gym, I just literally popped like a disc. So it slipped a little bit, and it's been aggravated the whole day. But it happens to me. And you know what? I've learned through my life that if you're gonna let pain control your life, then you're not gonna get anywhere in life. So it's as much as it's been an experience for me that even now currently is causing me a lot of discomfort and pain. It's also an experience for me that allows me to appreciate my life and allows me to believe that I have a higher purpose in terms of actually influencing and affecting other people. I've always believed it actually, that I came here to this earth. I used to always tell my wife actually, who was a long-time girlfriend and now wife, that I feel like I came to earth to do something and to achieve something. So I've always been sort of looking for that thing that I need to do, or that person I need to be, in
Yeah.
order to achieve what I feel like I was sent here to achieve.
Well, wow, I think you're well on your way here. Holy shit.
So yeah, so broken neck. It took me 6 years of rehab and painkillers to basically, believe me, I tried to get back. Gym doctors actually told me, because I'd go back to gym. I used to actually, at that point, I was actually working as a trainer at the gym as well, actually. So it kind of ended that career. But fortunately, I was still actually studying. So I was doing both at the same time. And I have a background in sports and exercise science and psychology and things. That was what my majors were.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still pursued the studying, obviously. And then obviously like competing became, sort of something that when I did try and go back into a gym, I just had tons of pain. I had scar tissue like you cannot believe, whiplash injuries. The alignment of my body was just terrible because I'd lost so much of mass. I mean, you know, Tom, before my accident, my wife used to love my butt, right?
Squat
And,
booty. Yeah, you had the
you know,
squat ass.
and, and, um, and after I was like as flat as a freaking surfboard from the back, right? And
Dang.
I had in the rehab process, I actually had to retrain the neural network in my lower body to actually fire again in sequence and to actually just fire. So it was a very painful 6 years where I fortunately found a physiotherapist that actually had a measure of, and I still see him today. So from about 25 years old, I've been seeing him, and I'm 35, so it's almost 8 to 10 years actually that I've been seeing him. So yeah, and I got back into gym at about 26, and I just vowed, I spent 6 years on painkillers chronically. Probably had a good degree of addiction to them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest and frank. And the one day I woke up and I just thought to myself, screw this. I'm not this person. A friend of mine that hadn't seen me in a while, he looked at me, and we met up, and he looked at me and was like, geez, Dubs, like, what's happened to you? Because I became overweight, maybe not overweight by other people's standards, but for my frame and stuff, I felt terribly uncomfortable. And he just reminded me of the person that I was before my accident, and it hit me like really hard. I sat down and I just looked at my life, and I was like, and also by the same time, I'd sort of started developing tummy problems and things like that, because my diet just wasn't great. In all honesty, I was like the average person, in the world. And I went through to a physician, and they did some tests on me, and they told me, sir, your sugar is sitting like at this level and your cholesterol is at this level, and we wouldn't be surprised by 30 if you have a heart attack. And I was like, holy shit. So it was like these two things at the same time. And I just reassessed my life, and I was like, you know what, that's it. I took the painkillers, I threw them away, and I went cold turkey. I was like, you know what, whatever pain comes, I'll deal with it. I found my physio, and that guy actually literally probably saved my life, actually, in all honesty. And I've just always trained my mind since that day to always try and be stronger than my pain. So, sitting here right now, like I said, I popped at this morning. It's not very comfortable sitting and talking, right? But, it is what it is, eh? Like, we all have our struggles in life. We all have our crosses to bear, and this is mine. So whatever that pain brings me, it sort of brought me to this point. That's the way I see it. Because had I been a bodybuilder, I might not have actually gone into the administration of bodybuilding, because that's where, that we're getting to how I got to Super League now, right? Yeah. So I know, sorry guys, long story.
No, and you know what I think is the most amazing out of that? That's a wow factor. But you talk about your girlfriend at one time liked your nice squat booty, and then it went to this flat ass, and then now it's back at a squat booty. She stuck with you,
Yeah, listen, Debbie, my beautiful wife now, right?
Yeah.
Whom I love very much. Staring at me. We've actually been schoolmates since I don't know how the grading system works in the North. Well, you guys are actually on the English system, right? So, so we had standards here, standard 1, standard 2. So it was standard 6 or grade 8 that we met each other, which was at about age 13 when I started lifting weights, coincidentally, and we were school friends all the way through school, but we started dating. I always joke with her, and I said, yeah, if I didn't break my neck, I don't know if you'd ever date me. Probably gonna skewer me for that comment on this, for the world to hear. But essentially, we're like best friends, and when I had my accident, she actually nursed me through it in the hospital, because you're laying flat out in the bed, all you're seeing is ceiling, you can't feed yourself. I probably had my most undignified moment of my life in that bed. Because you can't go to the bathroom. You can't, make a. Am I allowed to use language on the?
Yes, you are.
You can't take a crap.
No.
You can't pee, right? So you're peeing in bottles. You're shitting in fucking bedpans, and it was hard. It was hard. So she actually got me through that time, and we started dating the day that I left the hospital, because I was like, okay, I'm out of hospital now. Will you date me? And she was like, yeah, okay.
Wow.
So
That,
we've been together. We've been together since about 20 years old, but we've known each other since 13. So, geez, how many years is that now? It's about
that's 22 years, buddy.
yeah,
Holy
22
shit.
years. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so back to the story. Got into the administration of bodybuilding with the IFBB. The previous
Yeah, you bet.
IFBB before the split. So
Yeah.
I'm currently a chairman actually of one of the districts here up in the Gauteng province. It's quite a large area. It's one of the biggest ones. So I run that district at the moment. And then, obviously because, bucket list is, and because of my blogging and stuff like that, I always try and keep up to date of what's happening in the world of, bodybuilding, basically. So, so eventually, or inevitably, sorry, not eventually, obviously Super League came across my table. Let's call it, let's say that, right? And I sort of looked at it and I was like, I wonder what this is. There wasn't much content available, at that moment as to what Super League was. So, sort of put it on the back burner. And then one of my friends actually said to me, he's like, hey, have you seen the Super League thing? I thought, okay, so someone else has seen it, And I actually I went on the website and I saw, okay, how to become an athlete. It didn't say anything about how to bring Super League to your country. And I just said, I sent the email. And, in South Africa, when you send emails to people in the US or companies in the US, let me be honest with you, it's like, here's your email, and it just goes off into cyberspace, and you never hear back, right? So I didn't think much about it at all. And about 3 days later or 4 days later, I'm like on my way to gym, and I check my email on my phone, and I see, hey, Super League, they responded, and I'm not expecting the kind of email that I got. And the email was, hi, this is Jay. This is my personal number. Please contact me directly. And I was like blown away. I was like, holy crap. Like, that doesn't happen with guys that, with owners of a concept, let alone, or companies, let alone like a concept or anything like that. So that already struck a nerve with me. And then I mailed back. I said, you know what, Jay, I'm just going into gym at the moment, because that's how dedicated I am,
Yeah.
And I said, if we could have a call afterwards, that would be great. And he emailed back immediately again, said, cool, buddy. He always says, cool, buddy. We'll chat later. So after I got done with gym, we set up a call, and I wanted to go to Vegas to the Olympia anyways, right? And it just so happens, as we all know, that Super League happens on the Olympia weekend. So Jay sort of invited me out, and I was on my way there as well anyways, for a bucket list item that my wife allowed me to have. And I came to Super League 2, SL2, I think it was, which was the US versus Canada.
Right here. Right here.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. So, met Matt, Antoine was there, your guys' whole team. I think Aaron competed that. Kai was around, Michael Hearn, Barry Levine was shooting that whole thing. Geez, it was damn impressive. And I had to really separate myself as a businessman and a passionate person about bodybuilding and lifting. And to be able to say, okay, the hype versus, the concept. And when I go back to my hotel room each night and sort of debrief myself and just say, okay, here's what I absorbed today. Here's what I learned. Here's the challenges I see. Here's the crux of the concept. And by the end of that trip, I was hooked on Super League. I knew that it was a concept that I believed in. I knew that it was a concept that could make a difference in people's lives. Let me be honest about that. Maybe we'll get to that in how I see that happening. And I knew it was a concept that I wanted to do, and it was a real moment for me, actually, because I was sitting with Jay. I don't mean to sound very arty-farty or anything like that, but Super League, let me be frank and honest. Before Super League, I didn't believe in things like destiny and like the stars and all of that kind of crap, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of Super League 2, because I sort of got involved in Super League, I said, I need to know the bones of how this works. I told Jay, listen, I'm here. I'm between the Olympia and here because I was like blogging from the Olympia and doing Super League as well. I didn't want to miss out on the bucket list as well, right?
Yeah.
But I needed to know how the business concept worked. So I got involved in it. That's when I really worked with Dan, captured scores. I needed to see, I'm a person that I need to work something from the ground up,
Yep.
So if I'm in a company, I like to know, what everyone does. My mom taught me like respect the janitor and respect the CEO the same, because they all have a key job, right?
Perfect.
Janitor doesn't clean the toilets, no, the CEO can't take a crap, right? So, so essentially, we ran the event. At the end of the weekend, I was still at the gym. I was having a training session, and Jay was there, and I said, no, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. We went into the arena. It's absolutely empty. You only hear the hum of the air conditioning going. And we're sitting there, we're just talking. And I just said, I love this concept. We need to obviously go back and forth and negotiate in terms of how this is going to happen in South Africa. And at that moment, it hit me that it was the biggest sense of deja vu that I had in my life, because I actually had this dream of sitting with this guy in this environment about a few months before. And the next thing I knew, I'm sitting there with Jay, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, and it hit me, and I said, and I stopped dead in the conversation that I was having. And I said to him, Jay, and he'll vouch for this. I said, like, this is like very serendipitous. And I've never used that word in my life up until that point, right? And I told him my dream, and he's like, holy shit. And we just both sat there for like a few moments silent. And that's when I knew in my heart, actually, this is something I need to do. That moment of like, what are you doing with your life? And that's where I felt like everything that I'd done in my life up until that moment. That's why I said I don't believe in all this crap. But up until that moment, when everything tied together, the fact that I acted, the fact that I've worked in corporate and managed things. My day job is actually IT at the moment.
Yeah.
I completely understand like when me and Dan sit together, it's like really cool because I completely understand everything about how the application and everything ties together, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to say I'm multifaceted in that sense, right? And that's how I came to be in Super League, or how Super League came to be in me, shall we say.
Shit. When you were telling your story, Dubs, about going to SL2 and getting in that environment and then going back to your room and debriefing, you and I never crossed paths there, buddy, but that's where I started too. And Matt left the ticket at the desk.
Yeah.
From home. Anyway, it goes on. But I did the same as you. I went back and I just knew from right inside, right down to my heels, that this feels right, and I'm planting in here. And somehow, I don't care if I'm the water boy. I was calling myself Bobby Boucher, the water boy. I was going to be a part of this culture.
Yeah.
And this.
Yeah, even it's funny you say that, because that's the same thing I told Jay. I said, even if things don't work out between us, if someone like, if you decide you want to work with someone else, because there were other inquiries from South Africa, and I told Jay, I said, what, just be straight with me. And that's what I love about Jay, is actually from the start, we've had an open and honest relationship, right?
Yeah.
He's never kept anything from me. Whenever anything's come up, he'd be like, hey, buddy, you know what? Let's get on a call and we discuss it and we talk. And there were other people from South Africa. He told me straight out, there's other people we're looking at, and at that point, I didn't even know if, I would be able to bring Super League to South Africa. And, back to your point, is like, when I walked in the first time to Super League, I came from the Olympia. I was at the expo. I was checking out the pre-judging, and I walk into Super League, and this vibe just clearly hits you immediately.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm talking about, Tom.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
You're like thinking, holy shit, this is cool. Like this. And I was so glad when we put on the first event, because one of the first things my wife and even one of our officials said to me was, "Oh my God, that was fun." They said,
Yeah.
like, and I mean, I spend my days in bodybuilding shows and all of these kind of things. And it's a long process. It's like a 12-hour day. And not that, Super League, the more athletes you have, the longer it runs kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But, every moment is action. Every moment is something happening. There's someone lifting, failing, achieving. There's people shouting, it's more involved as a sport. And that's what I absolutely loved about it at SL2, that's what hooked me on it. And I think already that's what sort of hooked some of our athletes. I mean, our comments that come out of our athletes is like, you know what, they're posting videos and they're like, you know what, we hooked on Super League.
That
And I
is
love that.
awesome. Yeah.
So,
And you know what I think a lot of it is, Dubs, that brings all of us even closer together is like you telling your story and where you come from. You're walking around carrying yourself, laying out challenges with Matthew Park in Montreal, squat and deadlift and bench, and like nothing's wrong with you facing these, past demons or whatever that ail you, and you'd never know it. And I think it's so popular. And the few I've done here now, getting to know people, how they've taken those struggles and turned into strengths. It's freaking amazing, and how resilient we are as humans. And nobody ever gets to hear that. It's just like, hey, there's Dwayne the Rock Johnson, like he's got it made. No, listen to the Rock story someday.
Story,
and
exactly.
Yeah. And none of us are any different. And I think
and
that's
Tom, let me tell you something. Let me tell you why I'm more like you than you realize, right? The reason I started my blog a few years ago was because I was going to shows and I was like, I wonder what that person that's on stage had to do to get up there. That's why I started writing my blog. So my blog was like these interviews. I would actually go and review shows. I would take notes on every single athlete in a show, Tom.
Wow.
I had a book, right? Yeah. And I developed the shorthand, right? For what my notes needed to be. I would take, I remember sitting at shows till 1 a.m. in the morning, because sometimes they go until that late here in South Africa, right? Yeah. And taking notes on like 300 people, literally on every single athlete. So if anyone came to me afterwards and said to me, what did you think of my physique? I could open up that page and be like, right, that lineup, that number, that's what I thought. That's where your weak points were. That's where I thought you could improve. And this is why I think the next guy beat you, right?
That's dedication, man. That's dedication.
And that developed into me doing features and getting behind the people. So I'd meet the people and I'd be like, hey, so, what do you do for a day job? What do you, why do you bodybuild? And I got into that with people. So I became the Tank Tom of South Africa, basically, right?
And this is awesome. And I think we can continue on with this all across,
Yeah, definitely. So I love what you're doing because I can't wait for some of my guys that I know to tell you their story. Because I tell you what, as hard as mine is, I've coached some people. I have, we hosted some people at Super League that have come from really hard backgrounds. Our country has a really messed up history, a really a challenging history.
Yes,
and we're still sort of getting over that. I'm sure you guys see all the news in America. Don't worry, guys. We're okay. We're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things haven't gone south, although we're in the south. But yeah. Yeah. So there's some beautiful characters out of your beautiful stories that I can't wait to actually get on the war room with you.
Well, Dubs, and I'm looking for, and that isn't that what this is about? Hey, we meet each other and we leverage relationships and we get closer together and we just help people how we can to flourish. And I got to tell you, there's one lady, she's in your circle because I saw her advertise, and her Instagram handles Nelly Fizzle. Nelly.
Yes, Nelly. Yeah.
And
Nelly's a great friend of mine. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Dub, she's a wow factor for me because she's done so many nice comments about, hey, I love what you're doing, because no one ever hears about this. It's always about the fame and the fortune. And look at me, never what it took to get there.
And that's why, Tom, that's why I believe in what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because, as much as it's about the cameras and the action and the lights of the 3D effect, or, the virtualization of the Power Series and soon to be Combine, right? At the end of the day, I think Super League is the one federation, shall we call it, or the one sporting league where, you know, our athletes matter. And they certainly matter to me, right? And the fact that the war room exists means that they matter to other people as well.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
really appreciate that, Dubs, and
yeah.
I'm gonna be relying on you an awful lot to hammer this home, and that's the beauty of all of us being together in this, and having this culture created, and having the same common good and interest. Like you said, I say this cliche: we're about the cause, not the applause. Like you said, it's not about the
Amen.
yeah,
Amen.
and I think it will help. That helps lighten people, or light people up when they need it, and bring them back to earth and bring them back to life more than, oh, this guy has this much of a net worth, and who cares about material shit? That's not what we're about, you know.
Yeah.
And so remarkable, man, and your story already is like way over and above. As I see you and how you carry yourself, only on the screen, never met you, and all these things. Like, this guy's larger than life. He's always got a smile on. He's positive. He's the right guy for the fit. But I didn't realize your struggle, and what you've had to conquer and come through to get there. But that again is such the beauty of this, and it gives people hope, Dubs. I hope somebody hears this when they're sitting in that hospital looking at nothing but the ceiling and starts laughing, seeing like, oh, fuck, this guy knows what I'm going through. I'm counting the ceiling times.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly it. It's like, if you've been through this hardship in your life, why keep it to yourself?
Exactly.
Because you never know who's watching. That's what I always tell people. It's like, I mean, in the beginning when I used to do things, it would be like, viewership base was like tiny. Look, South Africa is a small market anyways, right? But it was really tiny. And I just sort of thought, what, screw it, I'm doing it for myself at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what endeared it or endeared me to people, I think. I try to be a what you see is what you get kind of character. I'm like a straight shooter. I don't like, hiding behind things or having a facade on or anything like that. People in my life have often told me I'm too honest and I don't have a filter, right? It's gotten me in trouble many times, got me reprimanded. But, I really believe that if you are as truthful as you can be in this life, and I'm not perfect, right? I'm definitely not perfect. We all have our flaws. And that's also what I love about Super League, is that, essentially on some level, and I don't mean to sound, emo or anything like that, but essentially on some level, everyone's broken, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right? We all have a story. And I think, and I've always found, this is why I love physical activity, is even in all the sports that I've done, they've always been hard contact sports, always, sports that really you have to emphasize, you have to really push your mind to get over what you're trying to achieve, right? And for me, when I was in rehab, I've sat on leg extension machines crying, right? Like physically, I mean, sobbing at the gym, telling myself, you will not stop, you will not stop, you will not stop, right? To actually get through the pain, to actually finish up and train whatever I needed to train and do whatever I needed to do. I still have those days sometimes if I sleep crappy or if, I don't know, something body-wise is not right, but that pain and that physical training is what has allowed me to fix myself emotionally and what's allowed me to fix myself psychologically and build mental strength.
So
right?
true. So true.
Because every rep is a challenge. Every, if you're not so much on the powerlifting side and you care about how you look on 3D, right? and you like dieting. In fact, I was asked this question about a few days ago by my wife, and she said to me, because I'm not prepping for a show, I'm not doing anything, but I will prep myself hard. Like I still call it being on prep, the prep of life, let's call it, right?
Yes, exactly.
And it's because that structure. I'm quite a ADHD person. I don't know if you've sort of picked that up, right?
Well, you have structure and discipline. You have a lot of structure and discipline.
So if I don't, no, I have it because I have to have it. So the structure of training And, knowing that if I have a certain input, I'll get a certain outcome, that I like that. And from meal to meal, I need to know that I'm reaching a small goal, right? Because if I do that, then, and if I fight the craving that every human being on this planet has and gives into so easily, because let's be honest, super leaguers, we're looking for such an exclusive type of person, right? If you're gonna be the ultimate superhuman now that we have, right? You got to be a special type of person, right? And I wish I could challenge for that. This is something I definitely would have done, right? But obviously, due to whatever my issues are, that's not gonna. And I've accepted that. Accepted my place in the industry and in life and in the world, right?
But you have a part in it. The beauty
but
is
I have a part in it. Yeah. So the meals, that structure, it allows me to feel like every day I've gone to bed and I've achieved something. Even if I haven't achieved anything else, the one thing that's absolutely in my control is what goes through my mouth and what I do with my body, right?
That's awesome. And I got to ask you this, that's intriguing. And I'm wondering, and I don't know if you know the answer, but where the hell did that come from? Was it sitting countless goddamn hours looking at the ceiling saying, fuck, if I get out of this, I'm actually going to keep shit rolling the right direction?
Hey, not fucking at all. Not at all, right? because I got out of hospital and every doctor told me you'll never lift a weight again in your life.
There you go.
That was what I was told. I told my parents, keep him away from the gym. It's not the right thing for him to do. His life will never be the same. That's what I was told. Right?
Jesus, that's a hard pill to swallow, man.
And like I told you, imagine you coming from that. Tom, my resting heart rate at one point was like 48 beats per minute. Right? That's how fit I was.
Holy Christ.
Right? I could actually, in school, we used to go on school trips, and I'll never forget this. Like, people were shocked at me. We went up one of the peaks in South Africa, which is the highest point in South Africa. It's a 12-kilometer hike up a mountain.
Yeah.
Right? And we were on the way back down. I needed to go to the bathroom. I had a full pack on my back. Right?
Is this a number? This must be a number 2 you're talking.
No. So listen, this is Africa in the first place, right? And at the top of a freaking mountain, there's no amenities. But now, obviously, you with all these girls and all of this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want to be embarrassed. So I was just I just told my teacher at the time, I was like, you know what? I'll see you guys at the bottom. What do you mean? I was like, nah, I don't want to go at the pace of these people. And basically, I ran down 12 kilometers a mountain, right, with a full pack on my back. And that's a kind of, that's. But when you come back to what you're asking is did I lay in the bed and say keep it rolling? Fuck no, I didn't. I gave up. And like I said, that was I didn't touch on it when I said I lost my dignity. Is the moment I lost my dignity in life was when I was laying in that bed and I was fully private hospital, mind you. I'm pressing the button. I needed to pee. Okay. And it's still always hard for me to talk about this, but I feel like I have to say it to people because that's when you realize what the low of the low is, right? You're lying with a broken neck in hospital. You can't do anything for yourself. You haven't shaved. You haven't cut your hair in fucking forever, right?
Yeah.
You can't bath yourself. You just feel like shit generally. Yeah. And the girl that you're supposed to be in love with comes to visit you looking like that and you feeling like that, right?
Yeah.
And there was one day I'm pressing the button for the nurse to come and they just didn't come. They didn't make it in time. And I basically peed myself in the bed like a baby, right? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, just a few days ago, literally, in fact, probably about a day ago, I was fucking deadlifting, because I was into powerlifting as well, bodybuilder / powerlifter.
Yeah.
And here you are sitting, pissing yourself in a bed. You can't do anything about it. You are laying in your own urine, right? Damn. That is probably one of the lowest points in my life. And then after that, you roll into the doctors telling you, when I left the hospital, actually, my doctor came to me and they kept on doing scan after scan. And my vertebrae wouldn't knit. Normally they look for the bone knitting, to say, okay, it's stabilized. And my doctor just told me, he's like, you know what, we've done like 2 or 3 scans now. Every time we're checking, the bone is not knitting. This is after weeks of being in hospital, right? And he said, on faith, I'm going to let you go home. But I need you to wear this. I wore a brace. They call it the spaceman suit. It's like this brace that goes around and over your head for like another 4 months. It was the most frustrating thing. My parents treated me like bubble boy. They wouldn't like let me go out the house. They would let me. My first outing was like I went to a movie after like 2 months of being at home. It's like terrible cabin fever. So, and then after that, I went back to the doctors, and they were just like, "No, you." The first thing I actually asked my doctor after the first consult, I'm not even lying to you, was, "Okay, so can I go back to gym now?" And he was like, "No, sorry, son, that's it. Just it. You can never go back to gym."
Because they were feared that it would sever again, that it would just.
At that point, I think it was because we hadn't done further MRIs to establish if it had knitted. There was no reason to believe. So I was walking around with an unstable fracture, actually, right? And I was told, like, listen, if you feel any tingling or any funny sensations, you need to come back here, like there and then, right?
Yeah.
So, I sort of gave up. And then I started working, when I started working in IT with a few friends and actually it was a family business, we decided, no, we're going to go to gym. And I was like, yeah, I was a trainer. I'll help the guys at the office. And we would take lunch out. Our employer let us take lunch. So about, instead of 1 hour, we got 2, as long as we worked it back. Right. Yep. And we went to the gym, we trained, and it was extremely painful. It was like really painful. And that at that point, I said, you know what, I need more help. I said, I'm trying to do something that my body is not, it's fighting me, and I found this, I went to the Sports Science Institute of South Africa, and I was like, listen, you guys are down in Cape Town, I'm up in Johannesburg, but I need a physio or someone. I said, I'm sure there's sportsmen out there that have been injured that need to continue with their career, that it's a must, so they referred me up to the Sports Science or the Medical Sports Medicine Institute here in Johannesburg. I went to them, they assessed me, and basically they sat me down and they're like, okay, we see what the problems are, and you have 2 choices. You can either go under the knife at 25 years old, or you can go to this physio, and his name is Michael. And they were like, I'm like, yeah, but you guys have physios here. They were like, listen, Michael is head and shoulders above any physio in this country. And the first time I went to Michael and he checked my alignment, guys, if you're a sportsman and if you're a super leaguer, you want to be optimal, you need to be aligned. I promise you, right? And I was terrible. I was in so much pain that I didn't know I was even having until when he released me the first time. I actually cried like a baby, like being released, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I am very in touch with my feelings and stuff, but I don't cry very easily, right? But that's how much pain I was actually in, that I had become so accustomed to that pain, Tom, that I didn't even know I was in it, and when he actually released the tension and the pain from my body, it was like the world had literally been lifted off my shoulders, because my shoulder was like so badly out of alignment as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've had to overcome. That's how Super League came into my life, and that's how Super League basically came into South Africa.
That is so stellar, man. And I'm so glad you tell that story. And like I say, I think that gives a lot of people hope, and we'll dig deep to have some vulnerability. You had to have an awful lot of vulnerability. Like you said, you don't really like to talk about it, but when you're at that low of the low, if you can share that, I think people resonate with that to say, holy shit, here's a guy just telling it the way it is. Look where he's at today. And I want a piece of that. I guess really, I just got to be honest and real with myself. And if somebody tells me I'm not going to walk again, or I'm not going to the gym again, am I going to fucking take that? Am I going to accept that?
Yeah.
You
always have a choice, Tom. You always have a choice. You have a choice to listen, or you have a choice to say, fuck you.
Yep.
And what you think. And I'm, at the very least, I'm going to try. Yeah. And there's been moments where, in all honesty, I've sat and I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. And I got to the point where I've actually become reliant on physical training. In all honesty, what I mean by that is, if I stopped once for 2 weeks, because I was like, is this all worth it? The dieting, all of this kind of crap. I have a beautiful wife. I have a home. I have all these things. Do I need the rest of it? And I stopped training. I didn't go to gym in 2 weeks' time. I was curled up in bed looking at painkillers again. Right?
Jeez.
That's how my body works right now. So you say, yeah, I deadlift okay and all of those kind of things. I used to be stronger than that, actually, to
Shit.
be frank. No, Matt, not to make you feel bad, Matt, if you're watching.
The challenge is
But,
on, yeah.
but I used to be stronger than that. And like people told me, no, you should not deadlift. I mean, guys told me, my physio told me, hey, deadlift. He was like, do it. Do what you used to do. That's part of the problem with people. And this is like the metaphor for life that I've learned about it is if it causes you pain, you stay away from it. But I'm in a place where I'm like, if that causes me pain, I'm going to go toward it, because I found that every time I've done that, I've either come out stronger or I've learned a lesson out of it, or a way around it, a way to think around it, a way to work around it. So, the pain is there for obstacles in my life, literally and figuratively. And it's really helped me in every single aspect of my life. So,
yeah. Holy shit, man.
Embrace it, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all that said, what's the next big chink in the armor here for Dubs? Where do you want to go here next? You got Super League up and running. You have these great things now to look forward to and unveil in your country, and have all this great community and culture and people come together. What is the
Listen,
next big thing you're thinking of here?
For me, Tom, my next big thing is basically getting Super League to where I believe that it should be. It's my 100% ultimate focus right now, to be really frank and honest, right? I've come to a point in life where my next big thing is my 2 kids sleeping in the room and time with my wife, to be really frank, right?
Nice.
That's the biggest of the big for me. And second on that list is Super League.
Yeah.
Because, the reason I brought it to this country is South Africa is at the tip of the African continent, right?
Yeah.
We are far away from things. It's expensive for us to get to places and to do things, okay? With the virtual format of Super League, it takes away the need for travel, right?
Yeah.
In all honesty, if Jay decided one day he wanted World War to be virtual, we could run the World Championship around the world, at a reduced cost to people to travel, but still to be part of the community.
Isn't
And
that the truth? Yeah.
what my one focus right now is, because I so firmly believed in this concept of Super League and the community of it, is I want our people here in South Africa to start feeling a part of something global. Okay. We are so, like I said, we're so isolated here. And even for me, I've told Jay and Dan them a few times. I said, it's hard for me sometimes because I feel like there's a lot going on, up north.
Yep.
The UK now that's come across is just sort of, a hop across the pond for you guys,
Yep.
and trying to travel from the US to anywhere is like really cheap on the dollar. You guys really should, and even Canada, you have a strong economy compared to the rest of the world. And it's a real blessing that you have a strong currency. I think I'd encourage any of the young people in Super League to, come and compete in South Africa. It's a beautiful country. Your dollar's strong, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you just helped me with something too, Dubs, because I get feeling the same way. Vegas is only 3-hour flight for me, so that's pretty minor. Going there here in a week, and I'm so looking forward to it. But you just said something that's pretty key. As these unveil all across, and they're popping up everywhere, right? We got the UK, like you said, we got Japan, we got Australia, all these things happening. This is what you and I are doing. It is the wave. It is what we're going to have to do to get the messages across. I mean, it's just not financially possible or physically possible to get to everywhere to hear everyone's story. This is what we got to do. And I think that's pretty remarkable. So this is virtual as well as the sport, but it comes to a hub where everyone can hear about it in the war room to say like, hey, so-and-so in South Africa went through this, and I appreciate you saying that, because I sit here like you and think like I feel out of the loop sometimes, even though I'm not. I'm not anywhere close to what you feel like. Must feel like, you know, where you are.
Yeah, listen, Tom, it's 25 hours for me to get to you.
Holy shit!
And that's with one stop, right? That is how long it took me to get to Vegas from South Africa with one stop. If I had
25 hours.
25 hours of flying, Tom,
I will
right?
never, I will never whine
Don't
again about a 6-hour flight to Mexico to enjoy the sun dumps. I'll never. Holy, you know, I've gone to Australia and New Zealand. That's 15 hours. I did not realize you were that freaking far.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
24. Yeah, if you fly direct, which is quite expensive, I think you're looking at 20 hours. 20 hours is the direct flight.
Wow. I'd be
So,
scared that wouldn't be enough fuel on board. That wigs me out a little bit.
yeah, because especially because they fly over what's it, the Atlantic, eh? Or, yeah, going towards you guys.
Yeah, shit. Man, that's so awesome, Dubs, and sharing your history, like I say, and getting the next round of your people on. I'm going to leave that with you to reach out to me when you have the next person that you reach out to say, hey, we're going to get you on.
Yeah, listen, Tom, just
Forum.
to touch on your point again. As much as you say that, right? I've been watching the podcast. I mean, listening to Aaron's story and all of those kind of things. Like you say, you know, everyone has their struggle.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're highlighting it, I feel like I'm missing out. So,
Well, I think
like,
you know what I need. I need a really good tech partner, and I think I just found it. So I think offline off of this, you and I should talk more how we could really bring some of this more to light.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and
I'd
I would.
love to.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, man. It'd be a great fit for both you and I. To see that you and I have such similar passions. We got to Super League the same bloody way, where my honey too said, man, yeah, right, you're going to Vegas to go to that. Well, I had an into the Mr. Olympia via a friend, so that worked out good. But hey, it's got to start somewhere, and we got to have these great women in our life to say, yeah, you go ahead and go do what you got to do, you crazy bastard, and they let you go. But so cool, man. So what do you see? Is there anything that you would change with this going forward? Like that just comes to the top of my one thing. I mean, of course, like you said, it's growing. It you know, it's well rounded, but it's going to have some things we got to get through. But is there any one thing that you just think could be like even more epic for change?
Listen, in actual fact, and little you may know, actually, you know, Jay, myself, Dan, and Matt, in the early days of obviously working together, we spoke a lot actually about the evolution of Super League, and a lot of the stuff. You know, Jay and Dan are the thought leaders, definitely, in this league. I'll be like really honest.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of our suggestions already being implemented. So, will anything change? Do I think anything needs to change? Geez, we're evolving at the speed of light right now as a league, right?
Yeah.
You turn around and Super League has something new on offer, or there's something changing, and Jay them love getting, you know, what I love is like they love hearing our opinions or my opinion. They've never once knocked anything down, you know. So I think because of that culture that we have at the management level, shall we call it, that Super League is, for at least for the next maybe 1 or 2 years, it's not going to be standing still, my friend. I think it's going to take, you know, the formats. Yes, we're bedding down. You know, Jay them are doing a lot of work bedding down the format, and that I think needs to be the constant, right? So that people can build around that and know, you know what, this is the structure, that is what we need to expect, and that is what we need to achieve, and that's what we're going to benchmark ourselves against. That needs to stay. With regard to, you know, the way the app works and all, the guys and girls have no idea what's coming. I don't know if you know what's coming, but there's going to be so much.
I do.
Coming.
I don't think we'll say too much.
Yeah. We'll keep it in the wraps. But I promise you, if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this podcast, I assure you that Super League does not stand still. And at any given time in the world, which is what I just had a discussion with Jay on before this call, is there's someone awake in Super League world having an idea or
Every
thinking
hour.
about something every hour, because we're all in different time zones, right?
That is so cool.
So, and because of the nature of Jay and how he does things, I think Super League will never stand still, even going many years into the future. It's just going to embrace technology. It's embraced cryptocurrency. It's embracing a whole lot of things. So, yeah, I can't tell you right now, Tom, that I want this to change,
Yeah.
because it's going to change.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice. That
yeah.
you nailed it. I think that's pretty damn cool. But that said, on to the next note. Dubs, if you were granted, like genie in a bottle, you know when you say to the genie that you have three wishes, but if you were to make one change in this world that Dubs would want for everybody or everything, whatever you want to make it, what the hell would that be, brother? One thing's pretty tough, but
you know, it's. I don't think it would be money. I don't think it would be fame. I don't think it would be anything. Um, I just think that, and this is like really cliched, to be really honest. What I'm going to say, I feel, um, but I really wish that everyone could have the benefit of what I've learned without having the pain of what I've had to go through. And when I say that, I don't mean, yeah, listen to this and be like, oh yeah, I see what this guy went through and I can do that. I mean the visceral connection that I have with what I have learned through
yeah,
what I have had to go through, right? That thing that is inside of me that says to me, you will not stop, you are not done, find another way, any way, whatever is the discomfort, the pain, everything that you're experiencing right now is just temporary. To quote what Eric Thomas said, pain doesn't last forever, right?
pain is temporary. He said. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And even for myself, like, my physical pain is sort of is it's going to be there. Make peace with your demons, make peace with your pain, because I promise you, they all came to your life to teach you something, and it makes you into the person the best version actually of the person that you can be. You'll always have the choice. You'll always have the choice to succumb to it, or there's three choices, not two. I'm holding up two fingers, but there's three. So you can either succumb to it, right, and give up.
yeah.
You can take it head on, and you can overcome it, and you can learn from it and use it to drive you, or you can become a real douche because of it.
Yeah.
Right?
That is
And
good that you said the third
yeah,
one.
yeah, because some people are just like, hey, I'm in pain, stuff the world. You don't know what I'm going through. And that's the mistake that you guys make out there, is like, if you're going through something hard, you think, no one understands me. Oh, no, dude, there's people that have gone through worse than me. There was a guy in the bedroom next to me that had the same break as me, was completely paraplegic, that
Yeah.
was breathing through the tube that I was supposed to be breathing through. So
Shit.
it can always be worse. It can always be worse, guys. And if you listen to our stories, if you listen to the podcast, just realize, maybe try and just meditate on it or something, right? Where you just try and really understand what your real power is. And I know there's a lot of hard things and structures in the world that you feel like you need to get to, or that the man will hold you down and all of that kind of crap. But you know what? In all honesty, you can do it. You actually really, really can do it. So
Hell
I don't even feel like I'm halfway, Tom, to what I wanted to achieve in my life yet. So I'll let you know if when I die, I will leave a note.
well,
And I'll
amen
tell
to
you.
that. Amen to that, Dubs. And I don't believe you are either, man. With this persistence you have, and this drive, and this fiery passion in your gut, that I hear it and I see it within you. It's contagious, man. And I think more people need to hear that. It's like you said, one of the things we say here, cliche kind of, that you might my grandpa used to say it. He said, you know what? When I was young, he told me, take your fucking hat off your head. I was like, what? I'm going to get smacked on the head. I was thinking, right? No, so I take my hat off, and he said, throw it on the ground there. So I threw it on the ground, and he said, now put your fucking problems in that hat. Think of the 5 things you're whining about and put them in that hat. So I did, and he said, you don't think anyone else would have worse ones off than you? Of course, I'm young. I'm like, probably not, probably fucking tearing. He told me a few things from the war. He told me a few things from some of his friends that never came back. He told me a few stories here, there, everything. And he's like, now take yours fucking back and quit whining. I mean, and that's where it came. He said, everyone put your problems in a hat. 99% of the times you're going to take yours back. And when you're having that rough day, buddy, he said, I just wanted to do this with you as an exercise to hope you remember, quit whining. Just get out there and do something about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And Tom, even in the US at this time, right? I don't know. I hope this podcast can reach out to more than people that just lift, right?
Yeah,
and I think that would actually be a lovely thing and a goal for the war room, right? Because ultimately the war room, if you listen to these stories, is not the war on freaking iron, right? It's a war on ourselves, and it's a war against the challenges that everyone faces. And with the US, the way your guys' youth, with I say the US, but you're obviously Canada. Sorry, we have a tendency to put you guys together, the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, we're only the population of California, but we're big,
right? Right. But let's say the US, right?
Yeah.
With the gun violence and kids killing people at schools, it's unbelievable. Like, we the murder capital of the world in South Africa, right? Let me be honest, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys are the teen murder capital of the world, or the US is the teen murder capital of the world. And I hope that some kids somewhere can listen to this and realize that, what? Look at that hat. Look at Tom's hat at that age. Your life is not that bad. I promise you, your life is not that bad. In fact, your life has a lifetime of potential. And when you end it prematurely, you just throw it away.
Yeah.
Anything that you might have added or given to the world, and I promise you, no matter how small you think it is, there's something that every person on this planet will give to the world before they leave this earth.
Yes. Amen.
That's my wish, but that's my one thing that I hope in Super League changes, is that the war room actually goes mainstream.
Well, yeah, you know what? That's what we're all working towards. It takes the collective effort of all of us, and I just feel very grateful, Dubs, to be able to do this. And that when the concept came, and I said, "Fuck yeah, I want to do this. Let's do it." Did I have some fear? Absolutely. But there's another thing my grandpa used to say: two things holding you back, fear and common sense. And my fear is for you, bud. You got neither. He used to say that to me. I was like, well, now you're picking him. He's like, no, just get out there and do it. Like hustle along. And here we are. That's what we're doing, Dubs. And I feel very grateful, man, that you and I could do this tonight. It's late for you there, and you took the time to do this. And I was so excited watching your event and how well you did it, and how, not that I doubted it, but I mean, it's your first crack out of the gate. And I watched this like this is fantabulous. And the people that were there smiling and then yelling and cheering each other on and just thrashing weight and carnage flying. It was just great, and I think that's what people look back as, like you said, the culture and bringing this together and this closeness. But it's a dumping grounds too. I look at it as a dumping grounds. You want to go leave your shit somewhere, leave it in the ring.
Leave it Super League,
yeah. And so
and Tom,
many.
You know what, Tom? We're gonna have to flip the script one day, and I'm gonna have to interview you, I think.
Well, I would like that. I would appreciate that. It'd be fun.
We should set that up.
Yeah.
And let everyone know what Tom's about, eh?
You know what? And I could sum that up pretty goddamn easy. Honestly, Dubs, I don't have no, I really have no sad story. I had a great child upbringing. I do to this day have I have a narcissistic father that I've had problems with my whole life, but it made me who I am today, and that's a hell of a lot stronger, and no acceptance levels. And so I'm grateful for that. I have no regrets for any of it. But I, like you, have woke up over and over saying to myself and my significant other and others, like, I have a greater purpose on life than this. And it isn't just about shit and rainbows and piss and Skittles like people think I do all the time with that. No, it's a choice. It's a choice to say, if we can just lift each other up in times of need, like, we're resilient. But it's like you said earlier, Dubs, we're so fucking cruel to one another, and animals don't even treat each other the way we treat. And that's where I'm at in my life, to say, like, we need to start spreading the message to say, like, harden the fuck up a little bit, stay in your lane, look after your own stuff, but have some compassion to other people before you judge them. You don't know what they've gone through. How about you sit and learn and listen about it, and maybe it can be inspirational to yourself, you know?
Tom, like, on that point, sorry, I know we're going on, but I firmly believe that the reason I'm sitting here talking to you today, and the reason why I sat talking to Jay that day, was because at some point in my life, I decided that I wasn't going to put hate out into the world, or negativity out into the world, that I was going to put positivity and love out into the world.
Yes.
And from the day I took that decision, right, my life has just opened up.
Nice.
If I look at where I was 2-3 years ago to where I'm sitting, and that's why I know I'm not even close to where I want to be, because there's so much more I want to do. But everything that's come into my life, including Super League, and has come through relationships and people, and the fact that I gave without expecting anything back, and I continue to, right? And I promise you, karma, guys, like I said, I never believed in all this shit, but it's a fucking real thing.
Yeah,
It's a real thing. Yeah. I swear to God, or the universe, or Buddha, whoever it is, that it's a real thing. So just, I promise you guys, it's nothing to, you say I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
I try to be, because, you can always brighten someone's day with, I'm a Muslim, right? So in Islam, they say that the best form of charity is a smile.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
So if you're always giving us, you never know whose day you could pick up or make a difference to, right?
Well, isn't that the truth? And it's kind of crazy how we're all connected. Whatever they say, that percentage rule in degree 7 degrees of knowing each other. And geez, Dubs, as I've been more open to that in my life, and like you said, with relationships and leveraging and being open to it, isn't it the truth? Like, we fall into each other's lane at an opportune time because we're open to it. And I think that's the most people just aren't open to it, because they're still in fear. I can't come out of this bubble because their ego's talking to them, or the fear is there, or I might look like a jackass if I do that, or fuck, I've had a shitty day. You have to be open to it. Yeah. And like you said, brother, and I believe that it just starts to flow in. It's karma. It's having that attitude of gratitude, and good things come along, and we're doing things with intention, not an expectation of anything in return. It's just, and then it just goes, and then it just goes. Yeah. Remarkable, man. And I so appreciate you taking this time. And it's I think you and I could go on for about 19 hours.
We could. The longest podcast.
we should say at least 25 hours. You and I are going to get on a plane one day and go fly
together. We should do that flight someday.
Yeah, that would be great. And man, I so appreciate it. And of course, we're going to be talking here in real short order again. And I'll leave this with you too. Like, I'm all about, if you have someone, I would like you to bring them on and have both of you. And I really see value in that too, with two people sitting. Sometimes it makes one feel more comfortable. They can open up because they're familiar with you, not just a guy that's, well, I don't even know how many miles it would be, but 25-hour plane ride away, I'm going to say. You know what I mean? So I'm leaving that ball in your court to start organizing that, and God will do some great stuff.
We'll be in touch, and I'll definitely bring you some. Let's introduce South Africans. Tom, why I love your platform is because I believe that because everyone's going to be competing on an even level, right? Or even keel, as it said. I need my South Africans to get international exposure. If we come to World War this year, if everything works out and we come to World War this year, I would like for my athletes to be known before they get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that people can at least say, oh, that's what that guy's all about. And perhaps they make beautiful relationships. They have friendships that might last them a lifetime. When they come over, perhaps they get presented with business opportunities. These are all the things that I'm hoping for, that I feel. Ultimately, I don't feel Super League, with my success for Super League, is not about what money it makes or anything like that in this country, but in terms of what value. I truly believe in giving value in everything that I do, be it my IT job, be it anything that my shows, whatever the case is, right? And because I believe that there's so much value in Super League, I want some of my people in my country to realize that value that they've so sorely missed in every other single sport in this world and every endeavor, because we're so far away from everything.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
So we'll definitely we'll raid the war room. Take it over.
I welcome it, and I think that'll be stellar, man. And let's hook that up and make it happen. Absolutely, Dubs.
Awesome.
Well, you go snuggle that great woman of yours that I hope to see one day too, and your two beautiful kids. And man, we don't take the little things for granted ever. And thank you for taking this time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the platform. And hello, world. This is South Africa.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll be seeing you in September.
Yes, you will. Great job, Dubs. We'll talk to you real soon, my brother.
Ciao.
Take care.
Take it easy. Bye.
You too, bud.